Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Sorry about that, everybody. Something's going on in the background with LinkedIn. The notification popped up and I couldn't click what I needed to click. So let's see if we can get LinkedIn back in. If not, we'll just proceed as is. But good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 6, 2025. Welcome to the Java Cafe. My name is James Jimmy Hills and I'm your host. I wanted to, first of all, let folks know Mayor Wu will not be with us this morning. As I mentioned yesterday, her rescheduled date is for Wednesday, August 20th at 9 a.m. However, we're going to discuss just a little bit of some politics. One being a wonderful event I had the opportunity to attend at Grace by Nia last night at the invitation of the Worrells, mainly Chris Worrell. Along with, Brian Worrell was there as well. Ari, good morning. Good to see you over on Instagram. And that was a great event. There were or are legislators from across the country that are here for the NCLS, I believe, is the organization that's here. But a lot of the Black legislators from across the country got together last night at the Black-owned Grace by Nia. And it was a great event. A lot of folks in the room. Shout out to the new Commonwealth Fund, Makiba McQuarrie, Nadia, and all of them there that made that event happen. It was a great event, great vibes, great drinks, great food, great music. Shout out to Adonis and the band, and also Edo and his partner. I forgot the name of the DJ that was with him. That was a great event. And it was a little political, so a lot of the folks were in the room. A lot of the Black Boston politics, elected strategists, lobbyists, commentators. Were there any reporters there? I don't think there were any reporters there, but it was again a great event. That was one event that happened yesterday. There is also some current headlines in the political realm, and it's interesting. I won a couple of weeks ago, and it was in the news. There have been some departures from the Kraft campaign, and then this morning, I got up and I was scrolling on social media rather. And Michelle Wu's, not Mayor Wu's, Michelle Wu's, her personal page, there was a post put up on her page, and it was interesting. I'm going to read it. Let me just read it. And also, I seen another post on Threads that was interesting as well. And the reason why, I've been a little bit quiet and not saying too much about some of the things I'm observing politically, even though some people may disagree. These last couple of hours, I'm sitting here like, oh my. And from a Boston Poly political standpoint, it's quite interesting. Okay. Where is the post? I don't know where I saw it. I'm going to have to figure out where I saw it. Was it on Instagram? Hold on. I am going to, while I am looking for this, oh, there we go. Okay. So, three things. This statement covers something that some of you may have saw yesterday, that it was revealed, I think, by the Boston Globe, that there have been some fundraising solicitations that have went out with some national Democratic ask and their images and their names in this political ask, and they don't want their likeness to be featured in these asks. If you know me, you all know that I'm trying to be and tread as very lightly as I can. But these three things happening all at the same time, it's interesting, and I'll go into that in a minute. So let me share. So there's that first thing. I believe it was the Globe that put out an article yesterday, and it may be cited in here, and it is two slides. So I'll read the whole thing. Amid reports of unethical fundraising practices, Josh Kraft, who frequently preaches fiscal responsibility, reported spending 1.8 million in July, leaving him with just. So I saw this earlier, and I saw the point of it, but the details of the numbers, I had just like woke up, hadn't had coffee yet. Okay, wait a minute. So spent 1.8 million in July, leaving him with just $148,000 cash on hand, only months after cutting himself a $2 million check. The Kraft campaign running on fumes just 2 days after his relaunch, voters deserve to know how many millions Josh Kraft is planning to spend on his campaign to buy this election. We have several questions for Josh to answer since his campaign's current financial situation leaves him with limited options for the next steps in this campaign. How much? So there's the Mayor Wu goes on to ask some more questions. And a couple of them are how much of his own fortune, how many more Trump donors and out-of-state billionaires will give to Kraft Super PAC. Given his cash on hand, is Josh's campaign now in debt? Are any staff consultants supporting the Kraft for mayor campaign, including those who do not appear to have been paid in July? Finance reports also on a contract with any other Kraft Group entities. All right, so that is one thing that's in there. The other thing was the article about the folks that don't want their names listed in the fundraising. And then the last thing, I think for me, and but I often say that if people like myself who are pundits, strategists, operatives, work for campaigns or whatever, if there is some chatter among us, it's chatter among us. When I become aware that it turns into a trend, a tone, and a sentiment and message from folks that don't typically move in the space of politics, Boston Poly, Mass Poly, etc., it makes me go, It kind of affirms, in some cases, some of the things that's going on in the pundit world. And then sometimes it gives clarity around some things that we're thinking, and we find out that we're a little bit off. So again, this morning, somewhere I think early this morning, I get up and I get a post you should suggested post. It's on Threads, and the post person asks a question: do you think Josh Kraft will? I'll ask the exact question, or tell you what the exact question was. And again, this is let me first say this. I cannot verify every single solitary account on here that is not a political pundit, not a bot, whatever. And that's let's keep that 100 on all political sides, issues, national, public. So I'm just naming that. And also naming that we don't know if even if they are real people, if they're from Boston. And so while we often say that a lot of the racists and whatnot aren't from Boston, and that's real, I got to give balance that maybe some of these comments may be from some people who aren't from Boston. or may not even be real people. However, hold on. So where is it? I commented replies. Okay, here it goes. So the person asked, let me go to the original post. The person says, Boston, do you believe that Josh Kraft will have a greater positive impact on the community compared to Mayor Wu? Among a bunch of comments, this is the one that I responded to, and I laughed because it was a while ago. It happened. People didn't say too well. Some people said some things about it, but it kind of just disappeared. And this person says he didn't know the difference between the Boston and the New York City skyline of his donor invitation. And I responded to that and laughed. I have yet to hear actual policy funded by MAGA. While I have issues while I have issues with Mayor Wu, she has my vote. Back to Brookline, Josh. So I won't go into this thread. No pun intended on threads. This one for me was the one where I was like, these could be presumably factoring in all that what I just said about bots and people that may not be from Boston. Let's just level set that. Again, however, so I'll be honest. I literally went in and kept scrolling to look to see if there was any supporters, any like y'all got it wrong, she got to go, the woo woo, you got to go, all of that. Seeing if there was anything in there. I will go on the. I'm looking in real time. There's one racist comment in here that is just sad. There's some couple of cuss words. So there is nothing in here that is favorable. And it for a second, I y'all know who I'm with and where I stand. I was like, dang, it's just so I'm talking about this now because we are coming up on the election just about a month out from the primary preliminary. I always get them mixed up for years. Because we have an independent Domingo de Rosas, I believe it is considered a primary. Anyway, there's an election coming up. And I'll just say that and even in the room last night, while polls are reflecting the incumbent to stay incumbent, and again, I told you all before this, I love Michelle, we're cool. This is bigger than her and bigger than him. For the past couple of weeks, we have seen Black Boston on display like we have not seen in a while, and in places and spaces that are now to a point. And I think it was one of the DJs that put a post up that we got options now. So anyway, my point here is that what's on the line here is, while there's still progress, a whole lot of progress that still has to happen here in this wonderful city, there has been progress made in so many spaces when it comes to things where, to simplify it, the life experience that comes with the diversity, the focus on equity, and the intentional inclusion, where in Boston's history that has not been the case, we have achieved a lot. And what this election, for me, I'm a commentator, move in the political space. What this represents for me with considering what's going on nationally, of having someone that is more malleable around our issues. And in fairness, there are people that believe that the other candidate and another candidate, let me also say, Kraft and DeRosa. I'm talking about Kraft right now, but we have, from what my understanding, 3 viable candidates in this race. The Capucci, I haven't seen too much from him, and he only got 0.8% in that poll. Domingo got at least 2.8% in that, and he's been out and active. I'm a little bit out there. Again, not a expert. I haven't looked at the comments, so I'm going to go in a minute. I'm not a expert, but I'm certainly not a novice. And when you've been around this thing for a while, quite a few cycles, thought about running yourself, taken a couple of classes to run, been in the hall, worked on campaigns, have had access to candidates off camera, before camera, was doing this before camera. There is a skill of prediction that I can also, in real time, I'm thinking about, fall back on a little bit, where in times past I've said blah 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 blah, and it's been blah 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 blah. So my point here is that this election for me represents the continued progress that we have had under Mayor Wu. And let me also say this, that while it is, for me, if there was not a shared, not total execution of even where we share some agreement of how I would like to see some things rolled out and executed, those things are not perfect at all. But I would not be supportive, cool with, friends over 15 years. And let's also name that there was at least 2 times that publicly, me and the mayor, we didn't go at it. Well, I went at her. She responded publicly, privately, and I was, public. And let me just tell y'all, in 2021, a screenshot of my post. And let me just tell y'all, one thing Bishop Bragg taught me, or taught us, is kill a devil. So just real quickly, Michelle Wu voted for Billy Linehan for city council president, who was a white man. And Ayanna Pressley had went, at that time, she was on city council, and she had went for the presidency, and I had a fit. Really? The other thing was, when Michelle became city council president, she hired a consultant with whom I'm cool with and have affection for now. And it wasn't anything against the consultant. She had hired a consultant to help better engage the Black community. You're an at-large candidate. Why you need a consultant to engage the Black community? So I'm putting those 2 things out there. And those were when she was at large. I don't remember the exact years, but so 15 years, We have not always agreed. Where we agree is where I have seen the city make progress since she has been mayor. And from this point forward, I'm going to do my best to focus on that. I will call BS when I see some real strong BS. And that's kind of why, respectfully, that I started off the way I did this morning, because, and I'm a person that kind of moves in threes. And after the article yesterday, the post I saw from her, and then also the response to the question I saw on Threads, I said, okay. And the Threads post for me again was kind of like the seal. Of course, you're going to expect the mayor to say something like that. I was surprised the Globe. I need to in a second. I'll make sure what outlet I seen it on because I don't want to put the wrong thing out there. So the progress that I've seen made, a lot of the first, some of the first things that come to mind, and a few of the things there's a few things that we forgot about. And I'm teasing a little bit, and I won't say too much because we do have a special Freestyle Friday coming up on Friday with Calvin Feliciano. And so this is setting a little bit of stage for this for our show. And not saying that he's in support. He will tell you if and he's supporting any particular candidate in any race. And just to keep it 100, he's not in Boston. So just so y'all won't, trolls. A lot of the first things that come to mind right now is that the progress that was made in the police department union contract to where, budgetarily speaking, that is still a challenge, the overtime and all that stuff. I see sometimes these police officers at sites, leaning back on the thing on their phone. You can get, the civilian flaggers to do that, to take away some of that budget piece. But one of the things in that contract was that there was an ability, even after or somewhere before arbitration. I may not get the verbiage of this 100% right, but basically, if a police officer was accused of domestic violence, assaulting a child, I believe sexually or physically, and a couple of other things in there where in the past, things could stay in arbitration and not be fired and things like that for a long period of time. That changed in that contract. There are some things now that I believe can cause for sort of immediate termination. That is something that we sort of forgot about. Another first thing that comes to mind is, and these things are irrefutable. It's an Excel sheet with data. I will also claim in balance that in the audit, I believe, I don't have the amount. It was found that the city did not do its best in managing down to the final penny of all the ARPA money. Not perfect. Let's keep this 100. However, on that Excel sheet, perfect or not, our investments made in our neighborhoods in many, many ways, but some ways are in women-owned businesses, the space grants, the food truck program, a couple of cycles of the space grants, Black-owned businesses, legacy businesses, support, kind of on the end of COVID when the mayor got inaugurated in November of 21. Where another thing that comes to mind, and though, all right, be nice. I hope it's getting perfected, but I don't know because I haven't been able to get the answers to some questions from some folks that work for the mayor in the space of violence prevention. That, for me, is monumental. Folks can say what they want about me, not like, whatever. One thing that very few will be unable to say is or will have to say is the consistency in the space of violence prevention, intervention, and in the worst case scenarios, response to trauma. A couple of decades, unfortunately, there. And one of the other reasons that this is a big reason, because under her leadership, that thing is now being streamlined to where violence there, there will still be some functionality. And I function in this space, so hear me out when I say this. Though Dr. Diablo is going over to the Health Commission, he is going to have some functionality still directly to the mayor based on his role. But his role is also now picking up some administrative oversight, domestic violence, violence against children, elder violence, gender-based violence, things like that. And so the reason I say that is valid is because you still need that direct line administratively, on paper, report to Dr. Pasola, things like that. And has a wonderful it's a bureau now. So there are departments and divisions in that bureau that have specific focus. And so anyway, all that to say that for me, that's another thing that stands out. One of the other things that stands out is a lot of the investments in arts and culture in this city. They could be better. I was talking to someone last night that moves in that space, and we were talking about the debate. And I asked them to give me their assessment, and they gave me their assessment, and they were like, they didn't hear a whole lot from all three. They didn't hear exactly what they would have liked to hear around some of the priorities that really celebrate what arts and culture bring to Boston, acknowledge the revenue that arts and culture, including hospitality, bring to Boston. Speaking of hospitality, the other thing that comes up is our nightlife czar. You know what I mean? A focus on that is not just the clubs and all that other stuff, but the availability of medicine and things like that, after traditional hours. And so anyway, it's about 10:28. I got to get ready to wrap up because I do have a noon. I'm going to take a risk and go in the comments and see what's in there. I know there's going to be some balance, maybe some difference of opinion, and we can have that discussion. But after seeing those three things, I really had to kind of it's We Need to Know Wednesday. And again, I have to reiterate that as much as I just said about Michelle Wu, this is about the execution of some shared values that, and I had a conversation yesterday with a business owner before I went to the event. And I'll just surmise it in saying and this is someone that, all that I've known has never displayed any fear or anything. And what he said to me was that, just not verbatim. I'm saying it wasn't verbatim. I'll try the likely, he either said the notion or likeliness, and I'll tread lightly here, the notion or likeliness, because of the mayor in her quote said of this proximity to, a person who has demonstrated that they just want to be a king. And so just enough there, you know what I'm saying. Because also in being very balanced and fair, a lot of people that I know, respect, love, move with, know the other candidate and talk about them as a person. And I got to be honest. Even though I'm with another candidate, the strategist, the political side of me has looked at things in the last 2 weeks and have been just that side, no matter the candidate, just from a strategy, execution, rolling out a campaign thing. Even as recent as this morning, I was texting with someone and I was like, yo, as a person, those people have stated that they just, even if they don't rock with them as in that role, there has been some sentiment like, damn. And then this anyway, so I'm going to go into the comments for a few minutes. Excuse me, and then we're going to get ready to get off of here. I see Priscilla Banks in the room, Natalia Hilton, Lisa North. All right, starting at the top. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so good morning, Mama Java. Hope you're feeling better. Pam, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Dina, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning as well. Pastor Marion, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Selena, good morning to you. Sister Soraya, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Asiya, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Seeing Asiya in the room. Speaking of moving in this political space, I don't have the exact date. Asiya, feel free to type it in. That Maha will have a second affordable housing debate coming up very soon with Domingo DeRosa and also Mr. Capuccio. I don't know his first name, Asia. Who else is in the room this morning? Pastor Sharon Cornelius. Sharon Cornelius is in the room this morning as well. Okay, they're not as bad as I thought they was going to be. It's just good morning and okay. Mama Java said no cause just for the middle class. Oh, no cause for the middle class. Man is in the building. Man, go ahead and do that. You'll hear I'm on a break. But we can check in. But I'll check that inbox. I've been telling everybody that I've just been chilling, taking care of me. Hopefully everything is cool, brother. Naraki, good morning, beautiful. Good to see you in the room. Rob, good morning. Good to see you in the room this morning. Real Boston Media, Drake Voice. Good to see you in the room. Charlene, the article, that's okay. Let me get that because I did want to cite that correctly. So hold on for 1 second. Boom, 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 boom. Who posted that? It was in the Globe because I remember that. Hold on. Do you know something else I saw in the Globe? And this is so interesting. The first thing that just popped up when Charlene asked, and I also wanted to verify where I saw the article. But side note, former WBZ anchor Kate Merrill sues Station Network for $4 million, alleging she was discriminated against because she was white. I told you. All right. Politics, governor. Just search Kraft. National. Did y'all see that Dump fell asleep at the HHS announcement? Where did I see that? I'm cognizant that I'm live and also trying to find this. If somebody can put it in the comments, but it there's definitely an article. I think it was the Globe because the only reason why I say that I went to click it and I found out that my free membership is up. So I think I think it was definitely the Globe. So that's the article that I was referring to, Charlene. Milton, my brother, good morning. Good to see you in the room. I'll go over announcements and dates in just a few moments, but brother Milton and also Mario are coming in next week. Sharon Cornelia said, I seen them phones all everywhere, not just in Boston. All right. Okay. Something's going on about a law enforcement and conversation here in the Real Boston Media and Sharon. I do not know. So how do you feel about RFK pulling $550 million for vaccines? I know one thing is everyone better mask up all winter. That, you know, this Jesus, for many reasons, and this has been something that's been an issue for me before. So Dina, to answer your question, how I feel about that with respectfully, it's BS. We know that he is not in favor of vaccines for many reasons. And some of his philosophy around healthcare and how he became the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I can't even get into without being a medical doctor, having formal medical training, I believe. I don't think he's Dr. RFK. He has what's his face with him, the man that had the show, the one the other day when they were announcing something and Dump fell asleep. All those months of saying Sleepy Joe. And now you Sleepy Dump. Anyway, okay, I'm real out there this morning. So let's keep it 100. And I was going to say this at the end, And again, it's bigger picture than both candidates. The poll said what the poll said. The poll, let me just pause for a minute, because this year it's I always talk about it every cycle, and I always tell them to go pick them up after the election. The sign wars, this cycle are crazy. I just, woo. And let me also park and say this. And remind you, for both all election, hold on, all elections, all ballot questions, or whatever. A sign, especially on commercial and some residential buildings, does not truly represent the opinion of the persons that either operate that business or live in that building or those buildings. And what I mean by that is there are some people, developers, that own buildings that don't live in this city. And that has been, that's not to craft, woo. That could be for craft or woo, but that's not just to this cycle. That's all campaigns, ballot issues, and whatnot. So just put that out there. So signs and polls and whatnot do win elections. However, do not win elections. Any candidate has a chance up until the polls close, Dina, to be very honest. And I'm not being I'm not just saying that to say that. We just had an election. And one would have thought. And to further answer your question, Dina, this is something that me and I know the campaign as well is not taken for granted. They out there. Because you have to understand, and this is where it just, for things like handwriting on the wall, discernment, experience, just how the dots are either not being connected or they are connected and they just draw a different picture, or the picture that's drawn just folks are cool with what they see. While there is an individual who many that I know and love, respect, and have relationship with this individual, in a time where I mentioned that Boston is progressing, not perfect, and has a canyon, not just a room, has a canyon for a lot more improvement to go, there's been progress. And I'm specifically talking about what I said before, the benefit of the diversity, the push for equity, and the inclusiveness that this administration has committed to even, I just saw another thing that, we're listed, this city is listed on the DOJ's list, and it will be, they're going to eradicate sanctuary. They don't say cities no more, sanctuary practices or sanctuary even in the language, they're saying a sanctuary jurisdiction. My point here is, in the sentiment and in the context and in the climate of all that's going on nationally, we cannot forget Boston's history as much as we've progressed. And in all fairness, there is some energy that has not been seen in a while in the city that isn't favorable toward, and I haven't talked about this a lot. I say it, the Asian woman who speaks fluent Spanish. But I saw something the other day that reminded me that just the fact, whether she was white, black, Asian, spoke Spanish, Latina, with the racism, you also got to remember that in this national climate, there's also this macho male getting our things back sort of thing. One vote per house, and the man votes for the house, and controlling women's bodies and all that. In this climate, more around the racism, but just the other day it was a thought when I saw something that there's the anti-woman in general thing too. With those things together, with what's going on nationally, and again, I said a few minutes ago, the brother said to me and was naming some of these things, the likeliness or the notion that there's a chance, I think that's what he said exactly, that there's even a chance that old Boston, Dina, to answer your question, the question is yes. However, there is a particular route that contributes to that chance, and that route goes through old, racist, white male and their supporters, Boston. Continuing. And Dina, shout out on a whole nother subject when I was talking about violence prevention and whatnot. I'm so glad that here, because I've named when people haven't got a trauma flyer on their door. I haven't got them when there's been shootings right in front of my house. And so Dina, thank you for putting that balance there. Leslie asked, good morning. What is your thought? People talking about woo with the baby, just asking. So, so first of all, Leslie, you're old school like me. Old school like me still had the thought that that baby shouldn't left the house until the baby was 6 months. That's my first thought. That's my thought. You asked the question, that's my thought. But there was a belief that the mayor was taking Mira around because of the election. And if you go back years when the boys were little, when there was an election, they were with her as well. And so that's just my thought there. As far as what people are saying, mothers and those early on that had the concern about health and whatnot, I think those are valid. And there were people that support her that said, and so I think you asked, good morning. What is your thought? People are talking about woo with the baby, just asking. I think they should just be, not negative. They can share their concerns about the child without being negative toward the baby. And so there's been some disparaging things said toward her and toward the baby and whatnot. It's just that's a baby. Like, and as much as people think she's using the baby for the election, all in elections or this election, but elections, meetings, council, she had the baby. She's part of the reason they got the daycare at City Hall. And now I think there's and there was some even Leslie, you don't got me out there, Jesus. Okay. ASEA is letting us know further civic engagement and dialogue mayoral forum with Domingos de Rosa Thursday 8/7, which is now is it just him? Thursday 8/7, which is tomorrow. You can register. ASEA, please put the actual hyperlink in there so folks can register right from here. That is tomorrow evening. And what time ASEA let us know. Charlene is letting us know she's blessed to be able to bond with Mira. As someone who is a family planner and family planning, one of my biggest fears is losing out on the important bonding time. I'm happy for any families who are able to do this. Thank you for that thought, Charlene. Also, as a woman, I just have to name that. All right. Milagro said that Dump needed a nap. I'm catching up with comments. If you're just tuning in, we're just going over comments over some commentary I made earlier. Miss Teresa says it appears Josh Kraft. I'm thinking when I say JK, I'm getting ready to say JFK because we were talking about health and human services as well. It appears JK has a nice budget to pay people for their endorsements. Discrimination within a society, country, institutions that are built out to support white people. This is some of what listen, Charlene, Okay. That part, Dina, Tava, literally at the hospital getting vaxxed now. I've been sick for a week. This is, it is interesting because I've had the thought about, this winter. In many respects, our communities, finances, everything that comes with setting up the Christmas tone and the food and tariffs and all that other stuff. And so it's we just want to be cognizant, gird up our mental health proactively, maybe save some money. I haven't talked about this too much. I was going to put this post up the other day, so I'm going to go ahead and say it now based on what we're saying here, even about the health and the winter and holidays. The non-perishables that you can get now that can, the expiration date is in February. Start getting a couple of the elbow macaronis now. Get the cranberry sauce now. Get the what do you call it? The sage mix, the Bell's seasoning now. Get your cornbread Jiffy now. Just pick up a couple of pieces now. One, hopefully they won't go up. Two, I'm even in my delivery, I'm being a little animated about it, but I can speak from my own experience. There were some times during the holidays that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And so I got in the habit I'm gonna be real with y'all. The end of September, October, I 1 year I didn't have elbows. 1 year there was I went in the last minute a couple of times, whatever. All of that. Now I start getting my non-perishables for the holidays, the end of September, October. Stop playing. Sorry. Whew, it's 10:49. We got to go. Charlene says, I also thought Dump eliminated the ability to sue employers based on protected class, such as being a white person. She needs to take it up with Papa Trump. Also, in reference to your comment earlier, Charlene also said, did you see that Rep Crockett endorsed that one sent out via email? So I thought they were all together. That it was said that Rep Crockett endorsed. Clarify for me, Charlene, please. All right, I'm getting tired, so that means that there's a lot going on here. Dina said, sure don't, because sometimes that I've seen people come in and say, can I put this sign in? They say yes and don't care who it's for. Sign wars. That is interesting. All right, folks, I'm going to get ready to wrap up. Good morning, Cliff. Leslie, it's good to see you in the room. Asia put the link. So the link is active in the comments. I'm not sure where Asia is watching, but Asia, if you don't mind, can you drop it in wherever this is dropped here? If it's on James, can you go over and drop it also on Java? So people can see the link here. This is for the event that's taking place tomorrow night, a conversation with Domingos De Rosa, 6:30 via Zoom. So please go to this link here and register. People on Instagram, I can't get you the link. All right, I think I got everybody. Misha, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Charlene's going to send me the article for the Jasmine Crockett article. Okay, that's it, y'all. I got to get out of here. Got a noon to get to. I went over all the dates yesterday, and that is it for me this morning. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I might tomorrow's Thursday, right? I might take a long holiday, take a break tomorrow. So I'll put a flyer or something up if we're going to be closed, if the cafe is going to be closed tomorrow. Just to say, we're still in summer. I haven't made it to Miami yet. So I'm taking my little breaks and self-care and do not disturbs to compensate that I haven't been on a beach. I haven't seen the storm come across the ocean. I haven't seen the sunrise from the room 1646 or 1648 that faces the ocean. I haven't seen the pitch black, dark ocean at night, and you can see a little ship crossing with a little light slowly going across in the middle of all that black. Can y'all tell? Jesus Lord, I got to get to Miami. So don't make me cuss. Yes, breaks. You take breaks too. All of us have to take breaks. Miss Teresa, yes, I'm eating and drinking. All right, we'll see you guys potentially tomorrow at 10 a.m. Potentially not. If so, I'll put up a flyer and let you guys know. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. And helping me to try, because you all are a big influence on, I've noticed some maturity since the last election cycle. And y'all are a part of it because, I can't, I can't inform, activate, and advocate in the manner in which I did before. That was passionate, still passionate, but yes, sometimes a squeaky wheel gets the oil, but how much oil do you get? And is it just for a temporary, just to shut you up? And no, we're not doing that. So we want to be more intentional, naming who we're favorable towards and why. I have to make sure I made that point clear earlier that I would not be cool and align with Michelle if there was not morals. I think I did make that plain. So anyway, we're going to go. We may see you tomorrow at 10. We may see you Monday at 10. Just make sure. Thank you all for all the support. Miss Teresa and Leslie saying absolutely I could take a break. And Sharon, Pastor Sharon, and also Smell the Roses. And buy yourself some flowers sometimes, y'all. My ex used to do that. Every week we got flowers. And then when we broke up, I kept that tradition going for, I think, until I started going to Miami. We broke up in May, and for 2 months in 21. Wow, it's been a long time. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day and check the page, and we will inform you whether we'll be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. or not. You know what? Crap. We'll be here tomorrow at 10 because we have a show on Friday at 10. So we'll do the whole week. We'll be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. I was supposed to have a special guest this morning, and they never replied to my text, and I will not call their name, but they're an elected official. They'll be on soon, but they was like, well, I'll hop on tomorrow and we'll tease it for a minute. Anyway, obviously, that was a male. So,